everybody, hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor, we're back here with another episode on the channel. What is going on in your world? Let me know in the comment section below. It is freezing here. It is -3. I am cold. I am not enjoying this. I'm sat here in a t-shirt because all my jumpers are in the wash. Well planned, Connor. So yeah, hope you're all doing really well. Make sure you're slapping a like on the video. Today we're going to be speaking about Mr. Calvin Phillips. We're going to be speaking about Angus Kinnear's recent comments, and we're going to be speaking about Leeds United's January planning coming up, which seems to be spinning in a very, very interesting cycle. Stay with me. As I said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and heading on over as well, everybody, to the Patreon, where we're going to be putting bonus behind-the-scenes bits from America, which won't be on the channel. We're going to be putting a podcast up very, very soon, and yeah, make sure you do that for all the additional bits. So straight away, everybody, we're going to be speaking about Mr. Calvin Phillips now. He was asked by the East Anglian Times, interestingly, this week, if Leeds United had gone up. I thought this was a very weird question because, you know, it's what sort of reporting is this? But it's a bit odd. But he was asked if Leeds had gone up, who would he have chosen if Ipswich also essentially went up as well? The East Anglian Times were reporting this. He was asked this question, and here's what he had to say. Into the playoff final and was devastated they didn't go up. Obviously, I wanted Leeds to get promoted. It's a club very close to my heart. Even if Leeds had been promoted and Ipswich had maybe come up to the playoffs, then it still would have been a very close call as to where I have gone, because I just love the story of Ipswich. Now, this makes a hell of a lot of sense. Why? Because it was the underdog story. Calvin Phillips in his career has flourished when it comes to the underdog story. Leeds United, him being the crux of that team, the anchor of that team, and a bunch of very average players, including Calvin himself, were absolutely bolstered up by a magician in Marcelo Bielsa. And it's so interesting now how he's sort of comparing the stories, in a sense. Kieran McKenna, a little bit of an unknown coach. Bielsa wasn't that, but McKenna is a maverick in himself. Came into an Ipswich side in League One and took a bunch of very average players to that next level, and then that next level again. Seriously impressive. One of the coaches really in this country who is standing above many other coaches in Kieran McKenna. He's an absolute magician, really. And look, that cannot be understated. And it's interesting how Calvin Phillips is talking about the story again, because that's how he flourished at Ellen Road under Marcelo Bielsa. A few boys here, and it just felt like they were good people. I could tell what team it would be when I got here. Obviously, Jack Clark, Leif Davis. I just needed a team that was together and be at a place where I'd enjoy coming in every single day. And I think that's the thing with Calvin Phillips. I think the good thing about him at Ipswich is it's kind of worked. They'd like him down there. Him and Morsey seem to have, you know, got together a little bit of a partnership, and it feels like, maybe not like West Ham, definitely not like City, feels like it's a little bit more of a home for him. When I've watched him at Ipswich, he seems to be doing okay at this moment in time. But look, he's on a big contract at Man City at the end of the campaign. Are Ipswich really going to go and buy him out of that contract for what he's delivered so far? I think he needs to be hitting a different level for them to do that. But yeah, listen, I think if Leeds had have got promoted, no disrespect to Ipswich fans, I personally wouldn't have wanted Calvin Phillips back, but I genuinely believe that Leeds would have probably gone in for him for nostalgic vibes. And obviously there's a player there as well. But listen, moving on, I think is key now for Leeds United. Well, this wasn't planned, everybody. Unfortunately, my camera equipment did cut out, technology again. But yes, we were speaking about Angus Kinnear. This was the next part of the video. Now, he was speaking to the Supporters Advisory Board last night, and he was saying some really interesting things. It's just been released by the club. It's only a couple of minutes long, but he was saying some really interesting things. He was saying that everybody after the Plymouth game, you can almost tell the depth with the youth coming through, but everybody is together in this race to get back to the promised land. We all know that. You know, Angus doesn't need to come out and say that. What I will say is Mark Ashton, the Ipswich chairman, who I was lucky enough to speak to at the Miami Soccer Expo, was saying to me that he's a very, very good bloke. He's got Leeds' interests at heart. And look, I know a lot of us criticised Angus Kinnear, including myself, after the departure of Andrea Radrizzani and Victor Orta, all of which, by the way, was reasonable criticism. But I think a lot of us maybe thought, I mean, could you have said he was a bit of there was a perception that he was a bit of a charlatan? I don't know, maybe. I know that was on the circuit. However, what we do need to say about Angus Kinnear is there is a certain warmth that radiates from him. I will say that when I see him in, you know, when it comes to certain podcasts, when it comes to, you know, the supporters advisory comments and stuff, I do feel that, you know, we do have to give him the benefit of the doubt in that sense. Mark Ashton, the Ipswich chairman, was saying to me that he's a lovely, lovely bloke, and he definitely
bleeds Leeds in a sense, which is really good. And I was speaking to him off air as well, and there was a lot of really nice comments about what's going on between the 49ers and, and Angus Kinnear. And there's a reason that obviously the 49ers kept him on. Angus was also saying, he was speaking about PSR. Now, for me, PSR does my absolute head in because it's not something that should be measured. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that clubs really, really struggle to balance sporting success with the financial side of it. And Kinnear was essentially saying that they are close to the PSR limit. But, what can you do? What on earth do? You bring in a certain amount of money, of which we've done with Rutter, with Archie Gray, with Cresswell, Somerville, and still you are close to that limit. But listen, Kinnear was saying that once again, we are close to it. But look, we're managing it well, which, look, it is what it is. I guess you're always going to be close to it when you're trying to vie for sporting success and get out of this division, because you have to pay the big bucks for the better players to get you up there. As well, guys, guess who's been linked with Leeds United again? It's Josh Brownhill. Now, do I think this guy's a good player? I do. I've always said it. I think he'd have been really helpful for Leeds United in many sort of seasons, even from the Championship and even in the Premier League as depth. But he's been linked with Leeds United again, according to several papers, including TBR, or online publications, I should say. Don't believe this one at all, to be quite honest with you. Why would you come to Leeds when we have 5 midfielders? He's going to want playing time. I understand there's a little bit of contractual disputes with Burnley. Doesn't matter. Can't see Leeds doing this. But would you go for Josh Brownhill?
Matthias Bogus, a name that you've not heard in a while, everybody. He has reached his 30th goal involvement for LAFC. The other day, he sent them through to the Western Conference semi-final with his 20th goal of the season and his 10th assist. That means Matthias Bogus is getting a goal or an assist every 124 minutes, people. 43 starts, 20 goals and 10 assists. Now, this hasn't gone unnoticed at all, everybody, and it is rumoured that Celtic are going to be going in for Bogus in the January period for £8 million. And we know with their Japanese recruitment over the past 12 to 18 months, started by Ange Postecoglou, their recruitment has been really, really decent, everybody. Really, really decent. Let's not also forget that they've just sold Matt O'Reilly to Brighton for a sizable fee. They seem to do well in that market, the Celtic, and you do wonder, is this going to be another Leif Davis occurrence for Leeds United in terms of us letting him go and him going on to do really good things? But yeah, apparently Celtic are in for Matthias Bogus. Charlie Cresswell has spoke to Le Dépêche in France and appears to have had a little bit of an indirect dig at Mr. Daniel Farke. Cresswell said that all I needed to play was matches in a row to get back to my level and gain confidence. Last year, I didn't play much. It had been a long time since I've been able to play, back in shape and enjoying every moment. Obviously, there was an issue with Cresswell. I believe it was in January last season, obviously when Leeds was struggling a little bit when it came to centre-back options. Richard even came out on social media and said something which I don't think helped Charlie's cause whatsoever. But we know with Daniel Farke, look, if he's not enjoying you, we've seen it with Jed Spence as well. If he's not enjoying you and if he's not fully convinced, he will just sort of alienate you from that group. And I'm not saying that's what happened with Charlie Cresswell, but it didn't appear to sit that nicely whatsoever. After a particularly shaky start where, he came up against Mason Greenwood and struggled a little bit, he's actually done okay as Charlie. 10 games, 8 starts, he's 4 wins in, 5 clean sheets. He's won 62% of his aerial duels. He's won 69, nearly 70% of his headers as well. And he's got 8 blocks in this season. And it looks like he's starting to get a little bit of a name out in France. So I have to say, well done, Charlie. He's an academy product at the end of the day. Leeds United, there should be a lot of reasons to be positive over this international break. No injuries whatsoever, people. Joe Rodon suffered a little bit of a head blow, but nothing too strenuous. And he should be back for Leeds United against Luton, which is going to be exciting having him and Pascal Strauch together, which they have been with no injuries. I always think in the international break, one of them, something's going to happen, of which we will then have to rely maybe on Gila Vodji at the back, bless him, to sort the defensive problems. Mateo Joseph netted his 6th goal in 7 games for the Spanish under-21s as well. Spanish media outlets saying that he has adapted quite spectacularly to the Spanish side. Going back to Rodon as well, he saw his Welsh side promoted after the 0-0 draw with Turkey. Carl Darlow also had a very, very good game between the sticks. 2 6-1 wins for the Dominican Republic also saw them qualify for the Gold Cup. Junior Firpo starring in both games as well. Looks like he's going to be missing, as we know, the next 2 games for Leeds United as well. Move in Isaac Schmidt. Hopefully. Max Verber also played a full 90 minutes for Slovenia, which is absolutely massive. The 12.5 million rated man, hopefully, is now going to get a little bit more consistency. And does this mean that he's going to feature a little bit for Leeds United? If not, you can really see a January move for him, can't you? But that's been it, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. It's been an absolute pleasure. Head on over to the Patreon for some bonus bits. Look out for the vlog later on as well, where we visited the US of A. This time it's in Miami. Make sure you check that out, everybody. Should be scheduled for around about 5 or 6 o'clock. And I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.